Hey, didn't see you there. Bet you didn't see me either. I want to show you guys why it might not always be beneficial to weed around your young trees. I'm standing in front of a giant flat spine burr sage, genus Ambrosia. This is in the ragweed genus. Um, it is aromatic and sticky, kind of. It has a resinous resinous and sticky surface when you crush it. It's definitely not palatable to any of our major pests here, like rodents, and it's serving a function here. You can see this is a huge weed. This is something that instinctually you would definitely want to take out if you have a young tree planted nearby. But I want to show you guys how this weed has been beneficial in protecting my young pioneer native tree species. So come over here. Tucked in and amongst this flat spine burr sage, you'll see that there's a young Palo Verde. I planted this blue Palo Verde, Parkinsonia floridia, and everywhere else where I've planted these young trees as part of our native hedgerow project, I've had to put cages, which are the only thing that really works out here is hardware cloth. It's the only thing that I've seen that rodents can't chew through. And if you've ever bought any of that, you know it could be pretty expensive. So if you're planting hundreds of trees, it can add up really quickly. So, but as you can see here, this tree doesn't have a cage around it. And that's because this weed is sheltering it. You couldn't see this tree from where you were standing right here. And it's similarly hidden from rodents who see this burr sage, this ambrosia, and they already know it's not palatable, it's not food, really. They don't really go for this as food. So they don't look twice when they see this giant burr sage here. Conveniently, that's why this tree has grown up. It's 2 feet tall now, just about. It's growing at a similar rate as my other trees, and I haven't had to cage it, and as you can see, it has no signs of herbivory. And they would love to eat these, right? I have trees out there that aren't covered by this burr sage that before they were caged, the rodents love eating these tips. These tips, this is a legume tree, so it's a nitrogen fixing tree. It has nitrogen protein in these leaves, and it's filled with water, obviously, because it's new, healthy shoots. So rodents would definitely go for this if they knew it was here, right? So I'm not trying to say that it's always beneficial to have giant weeds grow around your trees, but in this case, this is one case where this was beneficial. This saved me a cage. This is saving me real dollars and cents. You can quantify the amount of money this weed has saved me. Apart from that, it's also shading the ground around this young tree. It's giving it some wind protection, um, some shade, some moisture retention here by this tree, and it's protecting it from the number one problem, really, which is herbivory from rodents. I'm not saying that you should let any weed grow around your tree. No, but we can use some discernment and know that it's not always the ground has to be completely bare around your young trees that you're planting, because that's not always true. Neither is it the case that you should always let weeds grow up against your tree. So I'm just saying this is a case study of why we can use discernment and look at what are the actual conditions, what is the actual effect of these weeds growing next to my young trees. And in this case, I can see that it has had a positive effect on protecting the tree, and it has not really had a negative effect on the growth of the tree. This tree is growing at the same rate as my other trees. So just some food for thought. This is something you can think about, that not every weed is a danger and an enemy to your young trees. Some of them can be beneficial, in fact. This right here is exactly how ecological succession takes place in reality, where you have bare dirt and then you have weedy annual pioneer species, often with a taproot that can break up the soil and start to move minerals from the subsoil up to the topsoil, and then they die. They create thousands of seeds, they die, they bring those minerals up to the surface. You have little shrubby guys moving in, maybe some subshrubs, perennials, and then you have pioneer trees that pop up through the shrubby species and start to create a different microclimate where different shrubs and more trees pop up. So this is exactly how ecological succession takes place. There's actually an abandoned movie theater not far from where I live that I have witnessed this happen throughout time. This exact process where it was abandoned and then it became very weedy, lots of annual weeds and then shrubby weeds, and then pioneer tree species, nitrogen fixing species like Palo Verde and mesquite move in. They grow huge and they change the whole microclimate. Then you start to have grasses and guys like that, creating the conditions for more life. Like, life is working towards greater diversity, greater biomass, greater function, and greater yield of energy. And so why wouldn't we farm in the same way? That's the system that works. Ecological succession, no matter where you live, works. It works with slightly different characters, maybe radically different characters than where I am, but it's the same process. It's the same exact process. And that works. It's been working for zillions of years. So why wouldn't we want to partner with that and try to work with that process and imitate that process on our farms? You know? That is permanent agriculture. That is permanence. We're working with a system that has proved itself to work permanently, no matter what is thrown at it, through ice ages, through meteors, through fires, through hurricanes, through tornadoes, through earthquakes, everything. All of that happens and the same system comes right back. So go and look at the abandoned movie theaters, the abandoned Walgreens, the ditches on the side of the road. Look at the species that come up, and then look at your site and see how you can reintroduce those species and cherry pick for species that are edible, medicinal, draw pollinators, or otherwise beneficial to you in your situation, for your cropping system, for your farming. Find species that can provide you and your family with food, fuels, medicine, and fiber. You know, like this is a green bean tree. This is a nitrogen fixing legume that can grow 30 feet tall here and produce these green beans, and this foliage is palatable for all types of livestock: sheep, goats, rabbits, quail, camels. And then the pods are like green beans. They're literally, you can cook them in the same way as green beans. And it will thrive in our environment with zero water, with no supplemental irrigation, no fertilizers, no pesticides, no herbicides, obviously, nothing.